Oh, maybe it is live. If it's live and you're here, can you say that you're here? And maybe say where you're from. It's always fun to see where people are from. So we just did take one of the video, and I was pretty out of it. Um, so I'm glad that I'm actually doing take two. Take one was interrupted by Redford was off on an adventure with a neighbor, and he just came back. My dog. So I woke up this morning and looked at Instagram uh, after, of course, as we've talked about in our mindful morning routines, after feeding Red and after just making some coffee and, going to the bathroom and doing a little exercise and all that stuff. So I look at Instagram, and just a couple of days ago, to give you a backstory, Ford announced that it was moving most of its or all of its small car production to Mexico to save money on labor. And Ford is an iconic American brand, of course. It's been supported in many ways by taxpayers, and it's identified as American. Um, so, not very smart public relations. Only 2 days later, they decided to put up an ad on Instagram, which I saw this morning, touting how wonderful they were. And of course, all the comments were pretty hysterical and angry, saying people are going to go to Chevy and attacking Ford for moving to Mexico. So here's why it matters. Here's why Made in the USA matters, or for that matter, Made in Canada, Made in Europe, Made in Japan, Made anywhere. Well, I'm going to give it away. Here's why it matters. It's not a merely patriotic thing. It's about the reason why Ford can save so much money moving to Mexico is because Mexico doesn't have the labor and environmental protections that the US does. This is actually why, ironically, Obama is touting TPP. Obviously, TPP, doesn't have very many fans out there, seems like. I'm a fan of it overall because it would extend the kind of environmental regulations and labor regulations to Asia that we're currently enforcing here, and this is why almost everything that all of us wear is made in China, or buy is made in China or made in yeah. So we just made these hats at Elephant. I'm scared to show you what it says. We made a bunch of different ones, and they're kind of fun, and we mean them. But we could not find a place to make the iconic American trucker hat in the U.S. There's only two companies, and they're busy with the election right now. So the reason why all these jobs are fleeing to Asia or Mexico is because they don't have the environmental and the labor regulations protecting people and their earth, which people need a good earth without toxic chemicals dumped in it. So it's pretty common sense, and TPP would help that. It also probably has many problems that you could tell me about. So this is why, if you're in Canada, if you're in Europe, if you're in the US, Japan, commenters, you could help me with other countries that have good environmental and labor regulations. It actually matters that you buy from there. And obviously buying local, hopefully there's a bit less of a carbon footprint. So wherever you are, it's always great to buy local first. And local could be extended to state and to region and to country if need be. So that's basically it. I just found it to be, I can't find the comments now because Instagram is now on Facebook's algorithm more or less, so it doesn't show you things in order. It only shows you kind of what it wants to show you, basically. So Instagram is kind of falling apart, just the way Facebook was falling apart. But what's delightful about the Made in the USA issue, which I just described, is that Republicans are all for it and Democrats are all for it for perhaps slightly different reasons. But it's one of those few issues, maybe like farmers markets, where you're supporting farmers, or hopefully veterans' health care, or hopefully 9/11 first responders, where all Americans can get behind it and say this is great. And at Elephant, we look for those kinds of issues. We do take partisan stands, but we try not to do it out of hate or out of partisanship. I'm only a Hillary fan because, I care about climate change, equal rights, and healthcare. And I care about that more than I care about the individual candidates. And I feel like she's going to support that more than those three things, more than Trump will. Yeah, so from my point of view, it's less about her or any of them and their personalities and whether we like them or can stand them, and more about the issues. It's more about us. It's more about the U.S. But if you have any comments or questions about Made in the USA, why it's worth paying more, the irony is that while Ford is getting tons of hate from Americans this morning on Instagram, probably most of those commenters are shopping at Walmart and shopping at other places that really are insults to America and insults to Americans, because they're the ones who are selling all this cheap merchandise, which people can't really resist, especially if they're in economic straits. And then it's this vicious cycle where jobs leave, so there's fewer good jobs, so people aren't making much money, so then they have to save money at Walmart. So if any of you out there are in the position to reverse that and shop Made in the USA, always try and do that. Even better than Made in the USA, I'll just show you real quick, is reused from an environmental point of view. So here's my mudroom, and I just bought this scale. I wanted to buy a scale. See this old-fashioned scale? It is made in the USA, and this company still makes it in the USA. Boom. There's our cover image for the video. Luckily, I don't quite come to that capacity yet. But I was on my way to my local, not Home Depot, but my local independent hardware store. And I was like, oh, I could probably buy this off of Craigslist. So Craigslist, you can save money. You can get better quality. Those antiques are almost always, or vintage are almost always made in a far better way. Old things were made much less cheaply, and like my fridge and my oven are made in Pennsylvania by a family-owned company. My chairs in my living room are, again, for some reason, made in Pennsylvania by a family-owned company. So, Akam, hello from Iraq. That is awesome. Everyone give Akam some love. So, for you, it would be best to find local, handmade wares in Iraq. There was just a great article about how Persian rugs, which are this beautiful, wonderful tradition. I have Persian rugs all over my house from Craigslist. Save some money. But how that tradition is dying because people are no longer buying these beautiful rugs. So check out that article in the New York Times. I loved it. I don't think we covered it on Elephant, but I love that article, and I love Persian rugs and that tradition. All right. Ashley, I buy Made in Canada and Made in the USA. I'm living in Canada right now. Yeah, so again, this extends to any country that has environmental or labor regulations where they're protecting the people from toxic spills into their rivers or their watershed, or labor regulations where people have sunshine like this, where they can work and they have breaks and safe conditions. So that costs more. So whomever is on duty today, Renee maybe, we have a great article about shopping local and how it keeps the money in your local economy, which is really important for wherever you live. So I think that if you just search shop local, and it should be from around 2010, we've been online, or 2009. Carol, so if you have any comments or questions, let me know. And the only thing I would remind you is the important thing is trade is still great. So like coffee, all of us are drinking coffee that is not made in the US, right? So find fair labor coffee, find organic coffee. And you don't have to be a hippie to care about that, or a hipster. That simply means that, as Jane Goodall, beautiful, wonderful human being, says, whoever thought putting poison on our food was a good idea? You just simply don't want pesticides that the farmers of the coffee have to deal with. Poison. Pesticide is just a fancy word for poison. And you don't want it on what you're eating or drinking. Alrighty. I'm going to go through any comments or questions, so hit me and say where you're from. Tamara, I'm here in, and the link for the hats you can check out. We have 3 different hats right now, and they do help, which is a very huge issue. I'm very happy to see right now, but they help rescue and adopt Mustang horses. Can't get more American than that, and they need the help right now. And we've been doing that for a while before this whole controversy. All right, Rhonda, and maybe Renee, you could put a link to the Mustang situation. It's probably not on Elephant yet, but New York Times has covered it. Others have covered it. I think actually I Instagrammed about it on Elephant Journal, so you could put that Instagram link. All right, Adrian, yeah, can't blame you. Rhonda, that said, I do think we have to get over who we like or don't like in terms of voting, and we have to find the issues that they're going to support and support the issues that matter. Climate change, I don't think we can afford to have 4 or 8 years off from dealing with climate change. I mean, one of the 2 candidates doesn't even believe in climate change. Apparently, it's a sort of trade tactic by China. All right. Here from Pitkin, Colorado. All right, Robin. Stacy, morning from San Diego. Cherish, hey you. Ashley, Adrian, yes to reuse. Yeah, Craigslist is so great because you can reuse. Nothing's more eco than that. Often you can ask people if they can drop it off, and then you can pay cash if there's no issues. So I always respond and I say, hey, I love this. Can you drop it off at my curb? It's relatively close downtown. If you can, I'm happy to pay cash. Would you accept this much if there's no issues or surprises? And it works out. And then they bring it to you. I don't have a car. I just biked, so it works out. Saves some time and money, and you get great old quality. Good, or even new stuff. There's tons of new stuff on Craigslist. All right. Good morning from Phoenix, from Carolyn. When I shop, I'm voting on what company I support. My friend and I joke we are keeping a list, checking it twice, secondhand wherever you can. Carolyn, I would love that list from you and your friend. You should send a blog to elephantjournal.com/submit and just say something about why you love each company. I would love that. We would publish the heck out of that. Darcy, thanks for the compliment on the hat. There's some great blogs. Oh, here's Renee from Canada. Buying local is huge. And yeah, so one of my favorite things to buy, which I buy every year, is pottery, because you use it in your everyday life. You're supporting, in this case, Lele and Thea, 2 local Boulderites. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And, slowly over time you'll break some naturally, and then you'll need to buy more. And it's just fun and great local thing to support. So most of you will have an art co-op somewhere where all the local artists are selling their wares. Maybe it's just a market or a fair. We have a sort of permanent one here, and it's actually not super local. There's stuff from Michigan. There's stuff from all over. I bought a set of presidential blocks, all the presidents on those sort of blocks that children play with, and the history of the presidents. And I like to try and learn and relearn all that. Cherish, because I want to be president someday. But I've got to work on my speech. I feel very out of it and tired this Friday morning. Cherish, I work remotely for American-made and manufactured pillows. Wow. Although I don't know if it's the best for the environment. Yeah, so the best pillows that I've found are wool that is responsibly cut. A lot of sheep are actually sort of tortured in taking the wool off through a thing called mulesing, and maybe Renee could put that link, Wool is Cruel, in the comments. But if you can get good wool, it's a great thing to sleep on, because, unless you're allergic, because it doesn't get, damp, and it's pretty comfy. I love it. Anyway, I'm not very eloquent today. I apologize. Rod, cheers. Nancy, how do you find local family-owned businesses? Thanks. I don't know, Nancy, tell me where you're at. It really depends. I think mainly you just have to ask around. Here in Boulder, Colorado, there's a ton of businesses that support fair labor from anywhere, any country, and local. So farmers markets are a great way to start in terms of food, and bring your own bags. So our farmers market here dispenses probably thousands of plastic bags a day. It's really shameful. Union made products made in the USA. And Nancy, you could probably Google local family owned businesses in your area as well. Darcy and others, feel free to put in links. Ashley Martin, I don't always buy organic, but at the grocery store I buy the produce that is local to me. Yeah, there's a balance. I mean, it's great to buy local, but for your health and for the farmer's health and for the planet's health, it's good to go organic. My garlic was grown in Alberta. It was $3 for one bulb. Wow. But the cheaper one was grown in China. Yeah, and you can grow your own garlic. It's super easy. You know how, like, if you leave garlic around, it'll just start sort of growing? Well, you can just plant your own garlic in your windowsills, and then you have truly local and much cheaper garlic. And you know you're doing it right when you can make organic, local, and more affordable happen, all three at the same time. Nancy from Pennsylvania. Brittany from Oregon Coast. Sounds beautiful. Oh yeah, here's my link discussing how direct trade coffee is often BS. Direct trade is not actually a term. It's not regulated. It's just a kind of hipster term for people who are too lazy to work with fair trade, which is, fair trade is imperfect. Anyway, I discussed the whole thing in more depth in that greenwashing video about coffee. Ashley Martin from Sonoma, California, living in Calgary, Alberta. That's interesting. I would die to be in Sonoma. And you moved way north. All right, Christina Klemen. Best regards from Budapest, Hungary. Have a nice day and get better. Thank you. I'm actually fine. I'm just wiped out. Cherish. Rapid City, South Dakota. Morning is awesome with this discussion. Thank you. Trudeau Ryan Hall. Hey, I'm in somethingville, Charlottesville. Hey, I was just in Charlottesville, or almost. I just went to Monticello, and I bought a, talk about local, I bought a birdhouse that was made out of a tree that was planted in Thomas Jefferson's time that just fell down a couple years ago. That was super cool to me, being a Jeffersonian historic-y fan. All right, Charlottesville, Virginia, used to be in Boulder. You have any thoughts about companies taking advantage of the trend of having ethics, meaning using local being popular to jack up their prices? Great question. Yeah, I mean, often local does cost more because, like, for example, Elephant's an ethical company. We start paying people at $16 an hour. Often local companies will pay far better than the folks who are getting paid in China. I mean, cost of living can even things out a little bit. But, yeah, you don't need to find the hipster, cool, fig and leaf companies. It's always this and that. The company is always named this, ampersand that, and then it has like a little crest of arms with arrows. And, it doesn't have to be hipstery. It can be super humble, like that thing I bought off Craigslist. What else do I have that's made in the U.S.? This is I have a blanket on my lap, an old Hudson blanket, and these are made in the U.S. or maybe Canada, and I got them used off of eBay. You can do things without spending crazy amount of money, and that's important. Ghazala from Pakistan. Let's give Ghazala some love. How cool. If you can't hear my voice, you can just click unmute. Leslie loves a mug. Angela, yes on the list. Share, please, and thank you. Great Facebook group. Susan, everyone should join that. Buy Nothing Project. Akam, here in Iraq, when they say it is made in the USA, then it is reliable. That's ironic. But if you can support some local merchants and local farmers markets, that's always good. All right, I'm making some bread, and it is starting to burn. But here's my made in the USA oven. And the table legs actually fell from a snowstorm, so they're literally from 100 yards away. The brick, think about it, in old houses is all local, very, very local. And we redid the mortar using just like 3 ingredients, including Redford's hair. This beautiful thing is made in, I think, Michigan, the tile, and I got it at the art co-op. things might be a little messy, but this sink I got for free, 2 doors down, and because they were tearing apart a house. And the legs are from an old Craigslist bed. So talk about local. This thing is made in the US. The trash can from my local hardware store, McGuckin, which I love. Just about everything here is bought locally. Sunbasket is one of our sponsors. Shout out to them. They do local, sustainable, organic. Depends where you live, whether it's local or not. The wood here is all milled wood. Here's more local pottery from local potters. Let's see, this mug I bought up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where my mom lives. Here's another local mug. That's eBay. It's always cool to reuse. And this fridge is actually a Boulder company, so local to me, and made in Pennsylvania. And let's see, although I think it probably the insides of some Chinese parts, but it's all assembled and made in Pennsylvania. It's hard to be perfect, and you don't have to be perfect. You just try and do your best and have fun doing so. These chairs are Emeco. You can often find them on Craigslist. Just make sure they actually have the Emeco logo on the back, because if they don't, they're not Emeco. Because you'll often see imitations that will fall apart. These are really well made. They're made in Pennsylvania, and they're really light. They're originally made for, what do you call them, for submarines. They're super light and indestructible. And then I have a bunch of old chairs. I love old chairs. Maybe they're not as hip as, you know, other chairs, but I love them. And they're super cheap. Guess how much these 2 chairs were together? And they're beautiful. I don't know if the light is good, but they're kind of golden. They were $9 for both of them. So I always recommend the local thing. I'm here on my couch with a ton of blankets. Alrighty, I'm gonna go through some comments and wrap up, because I gotta go meet a friend who just had a baby and meet her baby. Any thoughts on the products that have recently been made available to come into the US from Cuba? I would think if it's from Cuba, it's probably kind of awesome, and I would support their economy. It's fantastic to support the opening up of that country so the workers and people have more rights. That said, I have no idea what I'm talking about, so if anyone else has any comments with more information, that is welcome. I've had a few friends go down to Cuba and bike around and meet everybody and dance, and it's kind of an exciting, scary time down there right now, because they've done a lot right. You know, the entire, Renee, maybe you could put in the comments, the entire island of Cuba, all the food is organic, not because they're trying to be organic, but because they couldn't afford all the nasty pesticides and fertilizers that we use up here. So Renee, if you could put that article, it's actually by my mom, Linda Lewis, about Cuba, organic food, and also I have an article about poop, which is really fascinating. I did this video with this poop expert, and basically this is the most interesting thing you'll hear all day, I hope. I'll try and make it interesting, but I think it's interesting. So historically, farmers were not specialists. They had 1 cow or 2 cows, and they had a bunch of chickens, and they had some corn, and they had some what have you else, just a bunch of random stuff, you know, like old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and then the animals pooped, and they would use that poop as fertilizer for free, and it was super nutritious for the crops, and everyone lived happily ever after, and it was all local and affordable and no chemicals involved. Historically, everything was organic, right? So then, after World War II, some of the major chemical companies said, how are we going to keep making money? So they turned into fertilizer companies. And that's crazy to think about. Poison gas, chemical companies turning into fertilizer that we put on our food that we eat. And this fertilizer had nitrogen in it and stuff, and it helped crops grow like crazy. But it was chemicals, and it was toxic, and it was expensive for farmers. So now what we have is we have specialist farmers where they have thousands of cows, no corn, no chickens, whatever. Then you have thousands of cows pooping every day. Then you have thousands of tons of poop and nothing to do with it. So you have this toxic sludge of poop. It becomes toxic because you have nothing to do with it. So they have to pay to deal with it, and you can't even deal with it that well. and then they are buying thousands of tons of chemical fertilizer, which is expensive, that they then have to put everywhere. So instead of all the fertilizer being free and non-toxic, everything costs money and is toxic. And that's America. So you can watch my video with this poop expert on it's on youtube.com/elephantjournal if you'd like to subscribe. And hopefully Renee will put that poop interview in here. Honestly, it was like, I thought it would be the least interesting video I'd ever do, and it turned out to be one of my favorites. Local wool, sheared by locals. Just make sure they're not doing mulesing. Manitoba, Canada. Awesome. Hey, Hayden. I love how Facebook always tells me you join. Annalie, is Friday evening... Hey, Annalie, third time in a row. It's Friday evening in Italy, a big welcome party with my new university, and I am exhausted. No party for me. Is always, I love that, is always a mark of growing up when you're okay not going to a party. When I was young, I thought every Friday night I had to be out or I wasn't cool. It was embarrassing. And now I'm much more selfish in a kind of grown-up way. If I want to go out, I go out. If I want to have a good time, I have a good time. If I want to go home, I go home. It can be hard in relationships because when I just want to go, I want to go, and I don't want to wait around. I just go. But I think it's good to be independent. All right, give this video some likes if you like it. We're going to wrap up. And good morning from up north, Fort Collins. I love Fort Collins. I love Wool Hat. We have 4 big basketball tables from Wool Hat. Tell the Wool Hat people if they ever come down to Boulder, they got to come by our office. Shannon, I'm such a big fan of what they do. Wool Hat is this like reused, everyone should Google Wool Hat. It's the coolest thing. All right, Wool Hat in Fort Collins. Shannon, Boston, where I used to live for 8 years. Baston, and I buy secondhand. I used to unload trucks from a large retailer of imported products. That sounds like a mafia kind of thing. And I had to take myself out of that industry because I don't believe in the high cost of low price. Wow, you are eloquent and you need to write. And my phone is practically dying. I could not ignore my part in the problem, and I could feel the energy coming off of those products, and it was unhealthy. Yeah, not all trade is bad by any means. A lot of trade is great when you're supporting good people doing good work who are getting paid well in safe conditions that are okay for the environment. That is fantastic. But often trade is not that. So I am not anti-trade by any means. I am pro-TPP, and I'm sure none of you are, and I'm happy to talk about that. Because I'm not in this to be popular. I'm in this to have a nice discussion about the mindful life. Stacy, look for local keep growers. I don't know what that means. But something in San Diego. What's a local keep grower? A typo? Brisbane, Australia. Dawn, good afternoon from Niagara Falls. Wow, I've been there. Secondhand is the way to go on a tight budget. Yeah, so my mom raised me. We were super green. We ate organic and all that, but we had no money. She never made more than $12,000 a year, and somehow we did it. We didn't have a TV. We sometimes didn't have cars. We lived simply. We did free activities all over Boulder all the time, and it was super joyful. My memory of my entire childhood is me just smiling, you know? She was a fantastic mom, and we had no money. La la la. Money or love? Money or love? Let's take love. Obviously, let's take both. But if you have to choose, a lovely childhood with no money but lots of love is pretty good. Caitlin, thank you. Deb, Stephanie makes soaps and skincare. Wow. Tell us your company. Oh, Marcia, thanks. You love my style of my house, I assume? Because right now, style of my out. Actually, I think I kind of like it. I'm not baking the bread. Actually, it's really good. I have bread that I put in the freezer that I got from Farmers Market from Itzio, the best baker in Boulder. They used to be Udi's, basically. And then you put in a pan with olive oil and you warm it. It's great with coffee. Angela. Bill. Oh my God. So Bill Capsalis, everyone should like and whatever his comment. Bill Capsalis is one of my mentors who I love. I genuinely love this guy. And he has been there for me for so many years. And if any of you like elephant, you should know that elephant, well, we'd probably be around. We'd just be much worse. If you have any criticisms of elephant, just know there would be way more criticisms to have about elephant if he weren't around. And he is the chair of the board of Naturally Boulder, which is a very exciting trade organization that brings together green environment and business green money. And it's a tough balance because a lot of people just want to make money and sell out and sell crappy products that have green washing marketing and make hundreds of millions of dollars. But there's also a lot of people who actually want to do good for the world and good for families and good for people and make money. And that's the exciting promise of Naturally Boulder. Claudine, governments don't make profits from healthy nations. That sounds profound and I don't get it, so I'm going to keep going. Karen, South Africa. All right. That's awesome. Laura, Grandpa would use it in his garden manure. I was young and laughed. He was wise. Learned so much from them. Grandparents and great-grandparents for the win. Tex, Hillary for prison. Indict Obama. And your name is Tex Concealed Gun Owner. What I want to do, Tex, is a video with you and I just hanging out, like in the batting cages, just playing baseball. I think you and I need to hang out for a day. And you need to lay off the coffee or the all caps or both and just chill out. And I'm not even disagreeing with you. I respect your passion. All right, Stephanie, Primrose and Poe. Wasn't I just making fun of hipster names? Primrose and Poe, just up on Instagram. Fantastic. Everyone go check out and follow Primrose and Poe. All right. Hannah, hi from Australia. Love your work, love. Thank you. Tara Orion Prychodendick. So I went to high school in Vermont. I miss Vermont, and I kind of want to move back to Vermont and help Vermont because Vermont's going through a hard time with heroin and with Lyme disease and poverty. I love it. Stephanie, zero criticism of elephant love. Want to partner with people who help women help women. To help women help women. I love that. Stephanie, awesome. Well, anyone inspired, including Tex, if you'd like to write, elephantjournal.com/submit, and I send all my love and best wishes to you. And I've got to go meet one of my longtime former employees, Marin, beautiful lady, went to like Ivy League schools, smartest person I've ever known. She got married a couple years ago. She just had a little baby, and I'm going to get to bike down the hill and go meet her baby. I'm very, very excited to meet her baby. Half my friends have babies now. Alrighty. Well, I hope that was fun. Go made in the USA. Go made in Canada. Go made locally. Go made anywhere where there are environmental and labor protections, and support trade with countries that need it. Claudine, I love Vermont. I want to move back. I went to St. J Academy. Melissa, hello from upstate New York. I love upstate New York too. Stephanie, no, I think, so to be clear, it's fun to make fun of things, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do them. I have no problem with that name. Like Silicon Valley, one of my favorite shows, makes fun of the notion of trying to change the world for the better. But that is something you should make fun of because tech companies always talk about it, but maybe they don't mean it. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try and make the world for the better. Right? Ashley, I'm a doula. How cool. So babies are your jam. That sounds kind of cool and that sounds sort of gross. Babies are your jam. Baby jam. Enjoy baby snuggles. Oh, I will. I know, I'm excited. Roberta, hello from Atlanta. I want to hear you talk because I love the southern accent. I need it in my life. Carolyn, I miss Vermont too, and yes, they need help. Yep. Silicon Valley, the TV show is amazeballs. That is true. All right, I think we're... So many comments, I can't get out of here. Okay, so we have a review of a mindful mattress. I think that's it. Renee, anyone else? I'll give you 5 seconds for comments or questions. And then, oh, we can meditate. Shall we meditate? My favorite part. All right, so meditation is not boring. It's not spiritual. It's just practical. If you want to be present, if you want to enjoy your lover or your food or the beautiful nature and the day and appreciate your day, meditation is a great way to be present. So anyone who wants to join, let's take a good posture and then relax. Find your breath. In and out. Put your attention on your breath, in and out. This is not meditation, this is just breathing. Now, when you find yourself thinking, distracted, maybe by my voice, maybe by the comments, maybe by thoughts about lunch or work or an argument, just label it thinking. Return your attention to the breath. So, if you find yourself distracted, label that thinking. Return your attention to the breath, gently. And then bow in respect to everyone else and to your day and to your life. And that's it. Tara, I was just back in St. Johnsbury Academy pretty recently, and it is far from doing okay. The heroin epidemic was painful to see. But I'm glad you're probably in an area of Vermont that's doing awesome. Deb, yeah, great. Well, simple life. It's good stuff. All right, folks. Big love. And everyone, thank you to editor Renee for helping out with the links. If everyone wants to give her a shout out, thank you. If you'd like to support Elephant for free, elephantjournal.com/best. That's the way to keep us alive. Facebook does not care about Elephant. We have dropped 2/3 in 1 year because of Facebook. We're fine. Financially, we're okay. We're paying everyone. Everything's good. But that's only because we have tons of ads now. Ironically, because of Facebook, we have tons of ads just to stay alive. If you want us to be healthy and to reach beyond the choir, and if you care about independent media, get our newsletter, elephantjournal.com/best. Please do that. If you take one thing from this, just read our newsletter. Am I supposed to give a shout out for Jade Yoga? It sounds like I am. So, most yoga mats are toxic. They're made out of PVC. Seriously, the foundation of most yoga in America is toxic, meaning horrible for your children, horrible for you, horrible for the planet. PVC, don't do it. Jade Yoga is one of our sponsors. We have lots of green sponsors like Sunbasket. Kicking Horse Coffee should be a sponsor because I'm such a fan. But Jade Yoga is a great sponsor. So if you want to get free shipping on any order, they're made out of rubber. Rubber comes from trees. Happy, happy, happy. Do your yoga in a great way. Hey, from New Jersey, Diane. So the link is... Wait, Renee, you have to... Oh, yeah. Okay. So you use the Elephant Journal code. Fantastic. And thank you for Jade making this video possible and this dialogue. And it's always great to see all of you. I'll see you Monday. And if you want more videos, including way shorter ones, youtube.com/elephantjournal. Click subscribe. Alrighty, folks. Mwah. And may it be a benefit. If you like this video, give it a like. I'm seeing lots of likes floating across the screen. Thank you. It's like candy. I could just grab the likes. And if this seems like silly social media stuff, when you support this kind of stuff, you keep Elephant and all of our writers in business. We try and pay our writers. And I don't know if newsletters is the right link, is it? I think it's /newsletter singular or /best, but maybe it's /newsletters. I'm using the elephantjournal.com/best link. Alrighty, folks. Mwah.